Did you know that you are probably doing something unknowingly right now in your insurance-based private practice that is costing you the sustainability of your practice? Well, if you're wondering what that is, you totally want to stick around because I'm Amy Plano. I'm the reimbursement dietitian, and I've been running a multi-six-figure practice for the last almost 20 years, which is bananas. Each year, I help thousands of dietitians and CNSs get credentialed, build the shit out of insurance, and make the money they deserve. And today, I wanted to talk about something that is really top of mind today. And in today's video, I'm going to demonstrate in three very distinct ways how not verifying your patient's benefits is literally robbing you of the most important lesson you can ever learn in insurance, and that is how insurance works. Why you should listen to me and why this video is even important is that I see this so much in our space. And while it can serve you in the future, you having your patients verify their benefits is not serving you right now as a newbie insurance-based dietitian. So I'm going to take you through three different pieces. I'm going to talk about you, why it's important relative to you, why it's important relative to your patients, and then why it is super important relative to your practice long-term, why you should be verifying your patient's benefits. So let's talk about you first, right? You are the most important part of this equation. And I understand with full transparency why you want to hand it off to your patients, right? In the beginning of your practice, you are super overwhelmed, not only just with the insurance side, but running a business is such a new thing for dietitians and CNSs. And when it comes to insurance, it's something so foreign to us that it would seem somewhat practical to outsource that to our clients. But what we have to realize, and I know we all realize this, but I don't think we really realize this, is that right now, in the beginning of your insurance-based career, you don't know how to bill for the insurance companies. And you can't get better at a skill you don't practice. And so right now you have this massive knowledge deficit, which is very normal relative to how each insurance plan works relative to medical nutrition therapy. And so, like I said, I know that this is normal to not have this knowledge because when I started in 2007, there were really no resources. I think Facebook was just getting off. There was really nothing to teach me how to bill in each insurance plan. And so I remember very clearly, I think I had 3 jobs at the time. I was working for Yale in the diabetes clinic. I was working full-time as an instructor at a local university. And obviously, I was doing my best to run my private practice. So in between all of those jobs, usually from going one to the next, I would be verifying my patient's benefits on a little sticky on my steering wheel of my car because that was the only time I had to verify my patient's benefits. And so while we no longer verify the benefits of our patients, because I can tell you in full transparency and with confidence, if you tell me what type of plan the patient has and what they're coming in to see us for, I can generally tell you right away whether or not it is covered or not, because over the last 20 years, I have pattern recognition. But you don't have that. And so often the information that you guys are asking during the verification of benefits is super important. So questions you need to be asking that will really make or break the game for so many of you guys is, are telehealth benefits covered, right? So telehealth benefits are varied on state, and then they can vary based on policy, right? A lot of you guys are solely virtual, and you having your patient ask this question and not knowing with full transparency whether or not it is covered, that is a huge issue. The other piece, and I see you guys stumble on this a ton, is this a self-funded or a group-funded plan? Group-funded plans work like clockwork. These are the ones that I can tell you with 98% transparency whether or not something is covered. That other 2%, and why I only say I'm awesome at 98, is that 2%, if they are a self-funded plan, it is going to change the game in terms of how you guys bill, okay? And so a lot of you guys are not verifying benefits, and so you are not asking a question like that. And then lastly, the concept of medical versus preventative, right? MNT is divided into two very different camps, preventative and medical. When we bill as preventative, there is generally no cost. There is always no cost share to the patient. When we bill on the medical side of the policy, if that's how and what we have to do, there is a cost share to the patient. This may include the deductible. This may include a copay or a co-insurance, okay? If you are not verifying benefits, those three things, telehealth, self-funded versus group, medical versus preventative, will literally change the game relative to whether or not you get paid and how much you get paid, as well as whether or not your patient has to pay you anything for it. So like I said, you having the patient benefit jeopardizes, can you even see the patient for MNT? How are you going to bill and how are you going to get paid, right? When we are verifying patients' benefits, we learn first and foremost, can we even see this patient for MNT based on the reason why they're coming in? And then the other information that we learn in the context of verifying their benefits is, how do we have to bill and exactly what should we expect from a payment standpoint, right? Over time, you guys will demonstrate and feel confident, and you will know before you even call what their benefits will look like. But until you have that confidence, the livelihood of your practice is your cash flow. And your cash flow will determine 100 exclusively is how you understand your patient's benefits. And so if you are sending this off to your patients because you are either too busy or you just don't want to do it, you honestly are jeopardizing the future of your practice. You cannot get better at a skill you don't practice. And whether or not you want to practice this skill, like I didn't want to practice the skill of practicing my violin, but the only way for me to get better was putting in the reps, right? And for many of you guys at this stage, and I say this stage because there is going to be a time when you watch this video and you're like, I'm so glad I did the things that Amy P told me because now I bill with confidence and clarity. But this is a necessary skill that many of you guys are outsourcing to your patients, and you're missing out on that valuable lesson, which is probably a lot of mistakes in the process. So that is how you, kind of that first piece, the most important piece of the puzzle works. Secondly, I want to talk about your patients. I say this from a place of love, but I'm so sick and tired of you guys saying you don't have to check your patient's benefits. You put it on them, but you have them sign your liability form, and that covers everything. And so I really want to encourage you to think about that concept, that statement, that scenario, and say, how fair is it to your patients if you do not know what the fuck you are doing? And so unhappy patients means they are not returning. And not only are they not returning, there's a good chance that they are telling their friends about the negative experience they had about you. Happy patients, on the other hand, satisfied patients, on the other hand, they are literally the best advertisement for your practice. If you satisfy your patients and you make them happy, even if they are coming to you and they're not getting the results they want, if they have a good experience from onboarding, to their experience from a counseling standpoint to follow-ups, they're going to stick with you for life. How do I know this? I have had patients that I've been literally working with since 2016, and they have had a good experience, so they continue to come back. Okay. In the beginning, your authority billing insurance will be jeopardized. It's just normal. You are practicing doing a skill you don't know what to do. And mistakes happen, but the goal from a patient standpoint is to minimize the errors and maximize the likelihood of getting the claim paid, right? Because whether or not you want to recognize, accept this, it is your fiduciary responsibility as an insurance-based dietitian or CNS to know how to bill each insurance plan from MNT. That is not on your patients, right? Whether or not they sign your pretty liability form, whether or not you tell them 100 times, it is still your responsibility to learn a skill, which for a lot of you guys, I get it, it's a deficit. And the last thing I want to kind of wrap up into a bow about patients is that I think in the beginning of your career, you do not realize the cost of acquisition of getting a new patient, right? You could probably keep the same set of patients indefinitely, happy in your practice, making lots of money doing the same thing day in and day out, versus if you lose patients because they are pissed that you charge them for a service you did not know how to bill for. Once again, yes, they 100% sign your liability form, but I want to drive the point home, if I have not done it already, that it is your responsibility to know how to bill, okay? Your responsibility. And so I understand, because like I said, in 2007, I had no idea what I was doing or how to do it, but I knew that it was not my patient's responsibility to learn how to do it for me, okay? So first and foremost, you are the most important piece of the puzzle, and then your patients play into that. The third piece is your practice. So if you do not verify your patient's benefits, you are literally jeopardizing the livelihood of your cash flow, right? In order to stay in private practice and to be profitable in private practice, you need to have a cash flow that is dependable. And so I say 98 to 100% of your claims have to be paid, because if they are not paid the first time, you guys are chasing money for months on end. I am so over other dietitians saying that it takes a long time to get paid by insurance. In my practice, we probably get paid, some plans, like within 4 days. Medicare is the maximum. Maybe it's 30 days. But if you are not getting paid within 30 to 40 days, there's a good chance it all comes back to your practices, which is having your patients verify their benefits. It is bananas to me that some dietitian will all get up in arms and say their fucking patients didn't verify their benefits, therefore now they're chasing them for their money. The reality is that we should flip that, right? If you're chasing claims, if you're chasing money, if now you're chasing patients who are telling you to F off because you didn't do your job on the front end, that is time, energy, and you will start to resent your practice, right? This is how insurance gets a bad rap in our communities, is that it could even come back to this one thing. You're having your patients verify, therefore the sustainability of your practice is compromised, right? So just want to wrap this one up, because I see so many of you guys outsourcing this to your patients. And a good way to internalize this is that you should not outsource it to your patients until you are calling for verification of benefits and you are correcting the rep, right? Because in conclusion, you want the real, we tend to work on things that we like doing, right? And learning how to bill insurance is not super fun. But the reality is that on the flip side, not learning how to do it is going to cost you your practice. So don't risk your livelihood as well as the opportunity to learn how to bill the shit out of insurance so you can have a sustainable, practice. You guys don't need more education, right? You need to start doing this, right? You need to start taking imperfect action. And yes, it will be annoying. And yes, you will get misquotes. And yes, you will want to throw yourself on the ground and have a tantrum. Do all of those things, but continue to verify your patient's benefits until you understand how their plans work, right? This is going to be the most integral thing you can do, is understand how their plans work. In absence of understanding how their plans work, which is necessary to do the work on the front end, the sustainability, I keep on using that word, right? Because I do not want to see you in business for 1 year. I want to see you in business like me for 2 freaking decades, loving every second of it. Okay. So Start verifying your patient's benefits until you are correcting the rep relative to the benefits for that particular plan. And if you need help starting, growing, billing, all of those things, I'm going to put the link down below this video because I help dietitians get credentialed, bill the shit out of insurance, and make the money they deserve. If you are overwhelmed, if that is not working out for you, we need to talk because I can change the trajectory and I can put the money where it needs to go, which is in your bank account. So hopefully this was helpful. I am super passionate about this topic because I see so many of you guys fumbling on it, and I want to correct you before you start. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.